morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is big options expiration. Lots of calls expiring today that the market makers are going to have to cover for. So, could be a decent gamma squeeze to the upside. That's what it's looking like so far. If we look at the open interest for the Qs at least, this is where everybody's been buying calls. So, likely where it's going to keep going. If you're looking at the 372s, this is the popular strike price today at 14,000 of those. There's 32,000 at the 375 strike price. So watch out for the squeeze to 375 since we're starting above 372. And then to the downside, if we do manage to somehow pull back here, you're looking at the 370 strike price with 17,000 open interest there versus only 13,500 for the call option. So below 370, you'll start to be bearish, but above 372, which is where we're at right now, likely to be bullish until you reach about 375. The popular names that I'm watching this today is going to be Amazon. This one I think could be a potential for gamma squeeze since there's hardly any puts until you get down to 125. We're at 128 right now. And lots of call options between here and there. 37,000 of the 125s. You have tens of thousands up until the 130 strike price with 33,000 open interest for that strike. So that's probably what I'll be watching. And then Apple is going to be the next hottest table today with 90,000 calls expiring with the 190 strike price. Hardly any puts here until you get down to 180. Then you have some healthy competition, but still about equal amount of call options to put options with the 180 strike price. So it's going to be hard to get Apple and Amazon down and QQQ as of right now. So we'll see how this morning shakes out. We do have some data coming out at 10 a.m. with the Michigan Economic Report. So today will be interesting to say the least. Good morning. Higher Fawn, Cutie Pie, and Nice Fishman. Hopefully y'all are having a good Friday so far. Markets have opened. Again, QQQ starting above 372. We'll see if it pulls back right here or not. If it comes back below, you could maybe get down to 370 on a pullback. But right now, it looks like we found the support right at 372 first thing in the morning. Looking at Amazon, not really moving too much yet. And then Apple, the big one to watch today, pulling back from its 187.50 high. So if we see Amazon, Apple pulling back, that could cause us to go down to 370. But right now, we're just above 372. To where a lot of people are still long at the moment. Nvidia is up the best, 2% today, up to 434. So just above that 430 strike price that everybody was buying calls at. Meta doing pretty hot, up 0.8%. Tesla is even doing okay at 258, but I don't think that you're going to get the gamma squeeze there. Don't think that the traders were conservative enough with their strike prices that they chose in order to keep pushing it up. If you look at the open interest for the calls, the hottest tables are the 260 strike price, which we could reach with 34,000, and then 265 would be the next hottest at 24,000, which is another $8. So it would have to go up 8 over 260, 257. It would have to go up 3% today. So those are pretty far out of the money for a 0-day expiration. But looks like Amazon and Apple are pulling back. Interesting enough, which could end up pulling the market back. Looks like Qs just fell below 372. So healthy little pullback here. We'll see if the market makers try to hedge those calls with a 372 and up strike price or not. But yeah, two names that I thought would gamma squeeze today are actually reversing, with Amazon down to 126.70. Won't be super bearish until you get down to 125. That you might be able to buy some puts, make some money there. For Apple, you're not really bearish until you get down to 180, which is a far stretch from 186 right now. It would have to drop. That would be like a 5% drop, which would be pretty out of hand for Apple. Could happen, but very unlikely. Looks like your main winners are Tesla at 259 and Nvidia at 433. QQQ trading just below 372 as of right now. Looks like these 375 calls on QQQ actually have a little bit of value to them, interesting enough. 44 cents. Oh, this is the daily chart, the weekly chart actually. I need the 5-minute to see where they've been. Yeah, they're trading for 40 cents at the moment. Yesterday these closed at 43 cents, so they are down a little bit. So it looks like people are selling out. QQQ at 371 right now. So it's right in the middle between bullish and bearish at 371. If you get below 370, that's when you'll get the market makers to start selling out. All right, we're down to 370 and change, 370.85. So we actually might get down to 370. We might actually have a reversal first 10, 15 minutes. Good morning, AA. Do I think QQQ will go up or down? Depends on the levels. Again, above 372, you're going up for the day, and then below 370, you're going down for the day. Those would be the two levels that I'm looking out for just based on the open interest. You are seeing the hot names from this morning, Amazon and Apple pulling back. So that is a good sign of a pullback and possibly a bearish day. But you are seeing Nvidia, Tesla both up, with Tesla close to 260. So those could kind of have some sort of balance to where QQQ might not move too much. But yeah, Amazon's pulling back to 126 now, so decent pullback there. Got rejected right at 128, a little bit above, and then started coming down from there. You're looking at the 125 strike price where it starts getting bearish. And then Apple hit 187.50 and then pull back at 185.50 right now. The 190 calls are pennies, 3 cents each. So if you expect a reversal on Apple, you could get those very, very cheap. But let's see. Let's see where the volume is. All the volume, there's a decent amount of volume going into the 185 puts and into the 182.5s. So you might see a decent rise in open interest there. And there's a decent healthy competition at 182.50 if it does end up pulling back. Do I do any under 10 stocks? No, not typically. If I do, it's something like SOX S, which is trading at 987 right now. It's like a triple leverage ETF. But other than that, no. If it's in the money and I let it ride to the market close, is it going to automatically exercise and I'll collect the full profit? Usually you're not going to want to exercise the option. You can. The The only time I really exercise options if it's something like a put and I bought the shares at a higher strike price. So, for example, I bought SOX S, which is a triple leverage bearish ETF for the semis. I bought this at 1190, and then I bought a put at 1150 for protection. So that would really be the only case to where I would want to exercise that. So I sell out of the shares at 1150 instead of the 990 that it's trading for right now. But yeah, it looks like Q's not really getting too much of a move. You might have a decent move at 10 o'clock with the Michigan economic report, but right now we're just trading in the range between 370 to 372. QQQ only up 0.15%. It was up 0.3 or 0.4 first thing, so decent sized pullback, but not enough to get us bearish until we get under 370. We're getting close, but it's just not quite there. Once you get below like 370.5, then people will start buying into the 370 puts and you'll accelerate that. But that seems to be our support as of right now, just below 370 and a half. So happy about PayPal. Yeah, PayPal and Target, two of the hated names after the earnings report, have been doing really well. PayPal up from 58. Nobody really wanted to buy it there because it was in a downtrend after the earnings. And then Target, same kind of situation. Everybody was hating on Target. Not because of the earnings. I won't talk about that. But went down to 125. Now it's at 136. So a nice little $11 pop, which is about 10%. So the names that sold off heavily are actually getting bought up, which is pretty good. That means there might be a rotation. All right, QQQ getting close to that 370 mark. We might start turning bearish right before the Michigan economic report. That'll be interesting if we switch at 10 a.m. But yeah, nice little $2 pullback, a little bit more from the start. Lost the audio. Let's see. Should be good. Yeah, getting down close to 370, but not quite there. Let's see. Apple's trading in the low 185s. Amazon's down to 125 and change. So Amazon, Apple pulling back could mean some trouble for the Qs, but you really need to get Apple down to like 182 in order for this to really get bearish, which is pretty far for Apple to drop $2.50. It's a 1.3% drop that it would need. Yeah, bearish start though. Down to 39 on the RSI, so slightly weak. Not extreme, but started off extremely bullish at 70 RSI. So it seems to be a sentiment shift first 15 minutes. Getting down to 370. Just below 370 now. So people might start piling into the puts. You still need a good like 50 cents or so for people to really get super bearish on it. But looking at the volume, a lot of puts getting bought this morning. People doubling down on the 370 puts with 19,000 in volume, 17,000 in open interest, and only 8,000 for the puts in volume versus 13,000 in open interest. So about twice as many puts to calls right now. Yeah, assuming that it stays in the money. Got a 363 and 364 contract for QQQ. Yeah, getting down to 364 would be a stretch. So I wouldn't be too worried about that until 10 a.m. If you get a really bad Michigan economic report, then maybe you could get down there. But that would be definitely out of the ordinary for QQQ to fall. That would be 5-6 points, or about 2%. All right, we're just at 369.60, so you might start to get bearish. Apple still has that 185 support, but looks like all the gamma squeezes have ended. For Apple, Microsoft was one yesterday, went to 352 this morning. Meta pulling back a little bit, but Tesla and Nvidia are still on. Let's see, Nvidia is just below 430 right now, and Tesla still close to 260. Like, it wants to go up, but we'll see if the market has any pull to the downside on Tesla today. But yeah, I would be more bearish if we do end up getting down to, say, 369.50 and below, just based on price. Based on, the 10 a.m. Michigan economic report, that I would be worried about, because that could just flip the switch to the upside and get us back to 372. Thank you, Alex. I wonder what the VIX is doing today. 1450 on the VIX, basically flat at the moment. The VIX, I think, could see a rise next week based on this option's expiration and all these calls finally expiring and getting wiped out. That will be good for the VIX. if people start hedging to the downside. Haven't seen a lot of hedges to the downside. Everybody's just been buying out of the money calls every single day, it seems like. But if people do start that next week, you will see a pop in the VIX. Put or call. It's really up in the air as of right now with Qs at 370. If you get down to 369.50, I'll call a put. But for right now, I wouldn't take any positions, especially with the 10 a.m. Michigan economic report. You're seeing a pullback for Microsoft, Apple. That'll have some weight to the Qs. It's already had its weight, I guess. But you need Apple to get down to like 182.50 for it to really be bearish here. Because at 185, there's not enough competition with the puts. You have 10,000 in volume this morning versus 10,000 for calls. But looking at the open interest, there's 97,000 calls versus only 24,000. So there's 4 times as many calls expiring today as puts with the 185 strike price. And then for the 182.50, let's see, there's 31,000 versus 34,000, but you're seeing a decent build in the volume at 4,000 versus only 1,100. So about 4 times as many bought this morning and about equal on the open interest. Am I live streaming the report? Yeah, I sure will. Let's see the economic calendar. It's going to come out at 10 a.m. It's going to give you the inflation expectations, consumer sentiment, consumer expectations. Let's see. Usually this wouldn't have a lot of weight to it, but considering today's options expiration, it might carry some to it. All right, looking at the U.S. Still about 9 minutes out. So we still got time. And QQQ is just trading right at 370. So this will be a very pivotal point. Tesla's just above 260. Let's see, the 265 calls might be more reasonable now, but still think that they're pretty far out of the money, especially considering QQQ is pulling back. I wouldn't be too certain on that. And it's trading for $150. You're paying $150 for a $5 out of the money strike price. Tesla calls are just so damn expensive. They don't get cheap until you're at the 270 strike price, which is $9 out of the money for 60 cents. It is up 2%, and it is above 260. There's not too many bears above 260. You have 8,000 open interest versus 34,000, and a ton of calls getting bought today. 50,000, 60,000 almost in volume versus only 13,000 in volume for the puts. So everybody's piling into Tesla right now. I'd say your best shot would be 265, but you're just paying way too much for it, in my opinion. 140 is a lot for a $5 out of the money call in Tesla. I wouldn't be willing to pay that personally. Maybe a straw would be better. Let's see. Yeah, Apple's just right above 185, so still holding on to that price level. Amazon's at 126, so still holding on to 125. Those 375 calls on Qs are only going for 20 cents now. So if you're looking for a YOLO play, I think that would be it right before the Michigan Economic Report. You got about 6 minutes until it. Loud on the mic. I'll push the mic back next time. But yeah, QQQ actually below 369.50, so getting bearish right before the Michigan Economic Report. I feel like that's a dangerous time to be short before a big event like that. Will this news have any impact on the market? Yeah, likely. It's about 5 minutes out. Usually it wouldn't, but considering today's options expiration, there's a ton of options that are expiring, so people will be scrambling to either buy or sell out of their options, which will force the market makers to push the stock in one direction or the other. If people start selling out of these 185 calls on Apple afterward, then you could get a decent drop. But you just need a confirmation that it's a bearish report. My guess, it probably will be slightly bearish considering the Fed ended up pausing this month. I think that the inflation expectations could be going up based on that. But the inflation expectations have been pretty elevated already. If you're looking at the past few reports, let's see if it pulls up. Oh man, my filter did not work. There we go. Yeah, so the Michigan Economic Report, 2 minutes out, 3 minutes. Last month for June, or let's say last month for May, this ended up coming in at 4.2%. The expectations is 4.4%, so that's a pretty decent jump they're expecting for the preliminary report. Again, this is also a preliminary report, not the conclusive report, so it won't have as much weight to it as a conclusive report, but it will probably shake the markets one direction or the other. You'll see a lot of options buying and selling afterward. Let's see. I think I'm going to get out of my TQs, call credit spread, assuming under 41 right before this report comes out. Got 30 seconds. I've already got a put to make some money on the downside. Don't want to risk it until after the report. They're jacking up the premiums with the implied volatility right now and making the bid-ask spread really bad. All right. Close out of that one just in time. And now we get the Michigan Economic Report. Just cut losses for the TQQQ. Call credit spread expiring today, 6/16 at 52. Strike prices were 41.42. All right, so looking into the report, first reaction was slightly bullish, not very. And the report looks like 5-year inflation expectation. Well, that's not up to date. Where is it? If we don't have it there, we should get it on the news feed on SPY. Consumer sentiment for June. They left it blank. What the heck? That's very weird. Have we not got it? There it is. Okay. So 5-year inflation expectations dropped to 3% from 3.1%, 3.1% expected. Consumer expectations ended up rising 61.3 versus 56.5 expected, and up from 55.4 for May. So that's positive. That's positive. Yeah, the consumer sentiment coming in better than expected, 63.9 versus 60, up from 59.2. So all three of these are bullish. And then you have the current conditions, 68 versus 61.6. And the inflation expectations dropped to 3.3% from 4.2% last month. So overall, very bullish report. QQQ not really reacting to it, though. It's trading right at 370.2. Interesting. The markets are kind of paused on the report. I would have thought that that would have been screaming bullish back to 372. You're seeing Apple up just a little bit, about 30 cents. Tesla's up to 262. So this is going to be the runner today, it looks like. But QQQ just below 370, so not really changing much. Let's see, TQs at 41.53, so that's not moving much of it either. Amazon's down right now, down to 127.70 or 125.75, finding some base at 125.75. Maybe you just get a late reaction to it. It's very strange. I would have thought that that would have immediately jerked it back up, but it's been pretty slow. All right, let's check out. I wouldn't want to go with the 375 calls anymore. That's too far out of the money. And we don't have that bullish of a reaction to this report. But the 372s, let's check those instead. $372. It's going for 87 right now. You're just really not seeing much of a reaction out of any stock, though. Besides Tesla. Tesla's the only one that's moved up post-report. The others are just kind of flat. Nvidia's actually up a little bit too. Let's see where the open interest volume is for Nvidia. People tripling down on the 435 calls. Also tripling down on the 430 puts. So that could be some back and forth between 430, 435. Wouldn't be too confident for that. And they're trading for 260, so those are expensive too. Tesla and Nvidia, those options are just so damn expensive. Every day. You're paying like 150 plus. For a daily expiration, it's crazy. The 372 calls are dropping right now to 75 cents. So they're losing some time value, it looks like. The lows for this is 70 cents a pop. So you're getting relatively cheap. You're getting support right below 370, so that's looking good. But you're not seeing any moves from the big tech other than Tesla and Nvidia. So it doesn't give me a ton of confidence here. If you got a decent pop in Apple to like 186, I could have some confidence in a bullish trade, but Apple's trading the low 185, so doesn't seem worth taking for right now. Very shocking that that wasn't a bullish report, though. They got everything they wanted, lower inflation expectations. All the sentiment indicators, expectations, sentiment, and conditions were positive versus last month, and the expectations and the 5-year inflation expectation dropped. So can't see how that wouldn't be perceived as bullish, but the markets aren't taking it. What was the report? It was very bullish. Qs just didn't react to it. Let's see if SPY reacted. Maybe you have a reaction for the Dow Jones or IWM, but Q's not doing anything on it. Let's see. Dow Jones up 0.2% right now. Barely up after the report, but it is up. And then IWM up after the report too. So it looks like the trade is IWM and the Dow Jones after the report. QQQ not getting nearly as much of the love for some reason. Yeah, it could be recessionary. I mean, going from 4.4% last month to 3.3% is a huge shift. And the Fed is expected to drop rates next year in 2022 from, 5.5% by this year's end to, I think, 4.5% or something like that. And the only reason that they would cut rates would be if we're in a recession. So you could have recession vibes out of it. Let's see the dollar, where that moved. Where is the Dixie? DXY. Dollar is actually positive this morning. Barely. And actually flat after the report, kind of headed up. Gold went up on the report, came back down. So the markets aren't really taking it as a recessionary, based on those two at least. The markets just feel very mixed about it. Let's see if we have any of the tech stocks going up. You have Tesla still headed up, 262. So the 265 might hit. Nvidia at 435. Meta still down at 282. Apple's climbing, but not quite in the upper 185s yet. Microsoft at 346. Amazon at 126.30. So a decent rise in Amazon, but not enough to get everybody wild up. It would have to go up to 128 for that. And then Google, not changed much either. So the bullish names right now seem to be Tesla, Nvidia. Tesla at 265, I think. And then Nvidia, maybe, let's see the options chain. 440 is probably popular. Yeah, people tripling down on those. 450, yeah, they're not so confident about 450 today. So not too much open interest above to just keep perpetually pushing us up. That would be $15 change, so pretty far out of the money, but 440 could play out, and then Tesla 265s. I think those would be your most likely options to work out after this report. Still very expensive contracts, though. Let's see, the 265s are going for 200 on Tesla. So you're paying a pretty penny for them. And then for Nvidia, the 440s are going for 173. So they're slightly cheaper than the Tesla trades. So between the two, I probably pick the Nvidia just because it's a little bit cheaper. It's about $30 cheaper. Still pretty expensive at $160 a piece, but the Teslas are going for $190. Damn, they're climbing already. 160. Ooh, if I can get these at 150, I'd be pretty happy. Pulling back from the morning high there. Those Tesla contracts dropped too, from 195 to 170. If I can get these for like 130, 140, I think that would be a really good price. Unless it's a fake out, but it doesn't really look like it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to pay $150 for them. So an extra $10 or so. All right, I got filled at 144. Just bought a, oh, did not spell that right. NVIDIA 440 call expiring today, 6/16 at 140. 142 actually, 144. They did drop about 15 cents after it opened. QQQ back to 370. 370.2. With Apple pulling back into the 180, low 185s. What chart is this? Is this an hourly chart? It's looking like. It's not letting me change the time frame. Weird. Alright, I guess I'll just pull it up here instead. And back to break even. So yeah, NVIDIA trading at 435, up 2% for the day. Had that small little pullback to 434, but right back to the upside. Yeah, you could have a lot of people closing their options. It's a very flat day for QQQ overall. For the overall market, it's not changed much. But you do see some highlights in Tesla, NVIDIA. Those are the two winners today, and your losers are Amazon, Google, both down about 0.9%. Apple's down 0.4%, and Microsoft's down half. So yeah, watch out for the new highs on NVIDIA. If it does breach, then you're going to 440 is the next hot strike price. Kind of sucks that the strike prices are $5 apart, but that's what happens when you trade a $400 stock. You don't have the granular strike prices like something like Amazon where you have $1 strike prices. Mixed reviews about the report. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Overall, I thought it was very bullish. But the markets did not think the same as me. Let's see, the 440s. Still a lot of volume going into them. 30,000 versus 15,000 open interest. It's not too concerned there. Let's see if there's any puts building up. Yeah, there's a decent amount of people buying 430 puts with 24,000 in volume today. 22,000 for the calls. Contracts are down to 115 now. Almost looking like a double top at the highs from this morning. But we'll see. I'll hold the trade a little bit longer. Would have been nice to get these at, what was it, 115 was the low? 110 on the pullback. But yeah, I paid 140, 143, I think, 144. So relatively high in this period. Tesla's pulling back from its highs at 264. So that could have some weight to the Qs going down at 370 again. But Nvidia's shaping up. Not quite at the highs just yet at 436, but getting close to. Apple's getting close to 186, so catching that support at 185. Amazon's really not moving too much. Yeah, still at 126. Let's see what these contracts might go for on Nvidia. Trading at 140 right now. Nvidia's at 435.50. So we do, let's say, get back to the morning highs. These were going for over 200 up to 270. Probably have some time decay to them though, to where they're not going to go for as much. But yeah, very close to 436. And I think once we pass there, people will start piling into the 440 calls along with us. There we go, 436.15. Contracts are going for 160. So right now I'm up $10, $15. Looks like a solid breakout after the pullback. Have a question. Have Tesla calls at 270. Still have 5 months to expire, but it's getting really expensive to close. 3,300. Any advice? Don't want to sell the option, so you sold the call option, I'm assuming, for the 270 strike price. You're still a long way from that. Let's see. I guess it's like $10, so it's not that much. I would probably hold that until next week. I think that next week is likely when you get a turnaround for all these big tech names. Seems to be the most likely scenario, just given all of these options finally expiring. That's been what's pushing the markets up, just people buying into this June 16th expiration nonstop, just call options after call options. So after this expiration passes, then you could get a pullback. So I would probably wait till next week on that. And you have until, what's the expiration? 5 months till expiration. It's a pretty long expiration if you sold a call. I usually don't sell any calls past like a month or 2 months until expiration. So next time I would keep the expiration like max 60 days. Looks like we're testing the highs for Nvidia, but not quite breaching them yet. Man, QQQ is just so boring. It's just inching up slowly. Nvidia's price is looking good. You have the lower highs, or higher lows, I should say. Kind of just a straight 45-degree angle, though. You have this low, then this low. Not really higher highs yet until you get above 436.50. Yeah, no problem, Mike. That's also a problem with the long expiration is you have so much time, and now that it's gained Tesla's gained so much value, it's going to jack up the premiums even more. All right, NVIDIA, let's see it. Let's see that new daily high, baby. It's literally right at the edge. But yeah, I'm liking the price. I'm liking the strength to it. It's at 65 on the RSI, so looking healthy. The only problem is that 436.55 resistance from this morning's high. It's my only concern I have on it. Q's going up to 371 now, so gaining a little bit of value. Right in the middle between bullish and bearish still. 370 bearish, 372 bullish. Relative strength is right at neutral, so you can't really call direction yet. Same thing with Apple. Although Apple does have a lot of open interest for the 185 strike price to keep it up above that level. Let's see, Microsoft. You could see 350 again today. It's trading at 347. Not a lot of open interest below 350 for either side, though. There's a lot of calls bought at the 345 strike price, though, with the volume. The volume is good on the calls, not so good on the puts. Not sure if that's buying or selling, but... Well, I guess with the open interest lower than the volume, that would be buying. But yeah, NVIDIA got that pullback right from the highs. 435.15 right now. Let's hope we create a higher low again. If we slip under 444, then you could have some trouble in NVIDIA. That would be a new low to where we'd probably consolidate or go down at 433.82. see, the lowest that these contracts got was 108 at those lows. So that might be my stop loss at like 105 or something like that. Maybe 100. Yeah, you're seeing a small pump in Apple is what it's looking like. It's driving the market. Tesla's still trading flat. So this could possibly, in price action, be higher low and going higher to a new high. For Tesla here. Nvidia's kind of the same setup so far. Although Tesla didn't have that morning high on the jump to act as a resistance. So Tesla might have the upside more than Nvidia. Just based on price right now. And then Apple too. Going to 186. All right, Nvidia pulling back to 435. Again, 433 or 444. That's when it creates a new low, and where it'll either consolidate or head down. That'll be the point if I have to exit my 440 calls. I wonder if we'll get the unlikely scenario for today of QQQ just trading flat, even with all the open interest there is. If we trade between 370, 372 today, that would be a shocker for the market. That means everybody buying the zero data expirations are going to get screwed over on both sides. All right, looks like we got the higher low possibly. Still need the higher high. Still need to go above 436.50. So close, but so far. I could hedge by selling a 435 call if we do go down to 434 again. Let's see, I paid 140 for that. The 435 call is going for 320 right now. So 3.2 minus 140, but at 180 credit for 500 collateral. So you're risking what, 380. But right now we're just getting flat price action, maybe to the downside. We'll see. It's at 60 on the RSI, so it is losing its strength from 70, from being overbought. All right, these contracts went down to 95. We're almost down to 434. Damn, they dropped this contracts really low compared to what they were going for before. They were going for 106. So they lost about 10 cents of time value. About 10%. Kind of looks like it's curling over though. We'll see. Still hopeful on that 434 support. What I don't like is the options losing so much of its time value so quickly. That's the problem trading zero data expirations, especially if they're as far out of the money as this. 440 is $5 out of the money. So they lose their time value very, very quick. Since it doesn't have any intrinsic value to it either. It doesn't help. Even if we get to new highs, these contracts would probably only go for like 140 or so. Since they've lost about 10 cents, yeah, they'd be going for like 140, 150. Yeah, we're not really getting much move out of anything right now, though. The biggest move that we've seen is Apple from 185 to 186. Amazon actually pulled up pretty well. 125.50 to 127 almost. QQQ coming back down to 370 here. And Nvidia is so close to that low at 434. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna have to cut losses. They're going for 83 to 85. 80. Yeah, I'll get out at 80. A little bit lower. as these drop a little bit. Oh man, they already dropped to 70 a piece. Okay. So yeah, you got the new low on Nvidia. Lower and lower and lower it goes. Damn, they're just screwing this bid ask like crazy. All right. I'm trying to get out at 50, 60 a piece. Doesn't look like I'll get there. Nope. No 60 for me. I'll get out at 58. And that's not going to fill either. All right, out of 55. All right, so seeing a pullback in Qs thanks to Nvidia pulling back and Tesla down to 260 again. Apple's back in the low 185s. So the Q's back below 370. Maybe you get some more sellers in this market. That's a pretty decent move to the downside, very quick, 10 minutes. Options looking very scary. Just never risk more than you're willing to lose. But yeah, people selling out of the Nvidia options now. Well, let's see, QQQ at 370 could have some move there. Apple, you still need to get down pretty low. Right now it's still at 185.50, so it's hard to call it bearish. Unless people are selling out of their 185 calls. But they're still in the money right now with the 185 calls, so I wouldn't be too concerned about them. But everybody that was out of the money on Nvidia just got screwed. With the 440 calls going from 150 at the top to 50 cents. TQ's just trading right at 41.50, so that's really not changed much. It's back to the morning lows, but that's with QQQ also at the morning lows. So yeah, that quick move down, but got support at 369.60 so far. Amazon's actually looking a little bit bullish still. It's at 50 RSI. So it could trade flat from here, but price is looking bullish. You had the higher lows, higher highs. but still a long way from getting the extreme bullishness above 128. So, looks like a pretty boring day for the market, interesting enough. Wouldn't have expected that for the monthly options expiration, but that's exactly what we're getting. We went a little bit lower in the morning, reversed some of that, and headed back lower right now, but you're not seeing too much incentive to sell out of Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon just yet. If we can make a new low on QQQ, I might end up doubling down on next week's puts, but haven't got that confirmation yet. Let's see NVIDIA recovering a little bit off of its lows. Those contracts going for 70 cents now, but still below 434. So again, the price here, you topped at the morning highs, pull back to a new lower low. Still need a lower high for it to be bearish, but it's what it's looking like so far. Probably going to stay below 435, my guess today. Too deep in the money call. Debit spreads on Amazon 115, 116, 630 expiration. Having a hard time selling them. And 95. Well, it depends on what the bid ask spread is. So say you have, I don't know, 80 to 105 on the bid ask spread. You would need to close those closer to 80 at the bid price if you're selling them. So you can start at 95 and like work your way down if you want to get out of them right now, or you can just hold them. Let's see, you're saying Amazon at 115. It's at 126 right now, so it's like $10 in the money. Which would be about a 10% drop that it would have to experience next week. You know, the odds of that would be very low to where I wouldn't be worried about it. But if you can get those contracts sold for like 90 cents a piece, I would probably take that. I would probably sell that contract. Yeah, if they expire in the money, you get the full $1 per contract. That's correct. You just take the difference between the strike prices since you're buying the shares at the long strike price and selling them at the short call strike price. Yeah, market makers are making sure everyone gets screwed today with the markets trading as flat as they have this morning. Let's see, even the 370 puts I'm sure haven't gained much value unless you bought them at first thing this morning. It's a lot of 370 puts getting bought though. 75,000 versus 33,000 calls. So you have double the volume on the puts. But the market makers just screwing everyone over, keeping these very, very flat. Could have got them at 34 and they're at 113 so far, but ever since the first 15 minutes, it's just been going back and forth. Yeah, no problem. What is the risk of being assigned for a call debit spread? The only real risk of a call debit spread is with your broker account isn't going to allow you to trade for one day. It has to settle the trade, and then you'll be able to open new trades. That's really your only risk. You will see an account deficit, but you can just exercise the call that you buy against the call that's getting assigned to you, and then you would make max profit. It's basically like the options expiring, so you would make max profit on it, but you wouldn't be able to trade for the rest of the day whenever that option gets assigned to you. Yeah, just a day delay. Still scalping, not recently. Been mostly watching the options chain and seeing where the open interest is and trying to take advantage of all the gamma squeezes we've been seeing. It seems like a daily gamma squeeze every day. Today, haven't got that just because we've been in the middle between the two hot strike prices of 370, 372. So far it's just been going back and forth until you get well below 370 or decently above 372, but so far you haven't got either of those moves in place. So flat market today. Amazon's still trying here. It's just very, very slow. If you had Qs above 372, I think you'd get a decent ramp in Amazon, but it's really not much confidence across the board for any of these tech names. So to me, it seems like the gamma squeeze is over today. And then next week will be interesting to see after all these calls expire. Yeah, no problem, Lisa. And Microsoft was a big one. I got in on Apple. Apple was a small gamma squeeze compared to what Microsoft did. Let's see, Microsoft went from 340 to 350 yesterday, so would have got a decent gamma out of that. But yeah, Apple wasn't as hot. Went from 183 to 185. Microsoft was the big move. Wish I had hopped on that one instead of Apple, but it's hard to say which one's going to be the hot stock. Nvidia's trying. Yeah. It's at 434, so it's back to that low from earlier. But if you can't breach 436.50, that's a higher or a lower high, which would be bearish. And that's $2 up from where it's at now, so it would have to get a lot of momentum going to get to 436.50. I would imagine that people would be selling out of their calls since we're not going up today, which could put more downward pressure since there's a decent amount of puts at the 370, but we haven't got below 370 to where the market makers start having to hedge by selling the QQQ shares. But yeah, there's a lot of volume, a lot of open interest for the 370 puts. We just haven't made it below and well below 370 yet, to where the market makers are incentivized to sell out. In terms of price, you are looking a little bit more bearish for relative strength at 40. You have the lower highs form, but you don't have the lower lows yet. You need below 369.40 for new lows on QQQ. And right now it's catching the support at 370 instead of selling off from it. Well, Nvidia's back to 435. So it looks like you retested the low and went back up. But yeah, looks like we're just going to have a boring day today. Unless we get under 370 or above 372. So set some alerts for those two strike prices. And then things can start to move. But for right now, I would just expect it to be in that range until we have the breakout. So yeah, that's all the trades for today. And I'll catch y'all on Monday at 9:30. See you, everybody.